sent me a message saying they don't like the new intro music. I think that's quite cool. I like it.
I'm grooving out backstage. I've got the air guitar out and everything. I thought it was good.
I think it's quite good.
I like it. It's not bad.
Hello, everybody. Welcome along to the Rangers Rabble podcast. This is your post-match reaction, and I have also had some comments from people saying that they keep forgetting there's a couple of hours after the game now. I must admit, halfway through that second half, I was sitting thinking I could be in my living room right now watching this and then just get the reaction done, because I left that game feeling a wee bit let down. However, we shall get into it and discuss the game as a whole. Some individual performances. There is positives, by the way. There's a lot of positives. That was cool, Robert. That was good. I liked that. I don't know why I winked with both eyes there, but there was some positives to take out of today's game. A lot of negatives, but I don't want this to be 30, 40, 50 minutes of us just sitting here being totally downtrodden and defeated, because we won. We got our first win of the season, first win at Hampden. I'm refusing to say home, and there was some very, very good moments in that game that we shall come and discuss. I am joined today by Robert and Iain. Gentlemen, hello, welcome. Hello to everybody in the comments. Hello to everybody watching. Hello to everybody listening back on the audio services, Facebook, Twitter, you name it. Hello, and I hope you're well. Robert, I suppose we should just jump into the game. Oh, like and subscribe and all that good stuff as well. I always forget that. Just give me your thoughts. Personally, Robert, first half, there was some really good things in there. I could see what the team were trying to do. However, second half, albeit, and I take the manager at his word, this is a transition. We will look better in a few months, yada, yada. I get that. But I felt really despondent leaving Hampden the day after watching that second half.
Listen, you were at the game, but I was living room loyal today. As you say, first 25 minutes, the tempo was really good. Players were fizzing passes into each other and moving and creating lots of space, which I'm sure we'll speak about in terms of the goals and stuff. But second half, almost reverted to type, if that's probably the best phrase to put it. But listen, we get the 3 points, and that's all that matters. And listen, you've got to take the manager, as you say, at face value, in the sense that we're not going to see the best of these players till October, November. That's fine, but it's just a bit, ticking over, keeping the wins coming until then. Obviously, it's better than last week. We've actually got 3 points. Some shaky moments maybe towards the end where Motherwell could have probably nicked something. But listen, at the end of it, we take 3 points, we move on, and we try and go into the European game, navigate that, and then deal with the League Cup stuff next week.
Iain, the first half, in terms of the first half, which is weird, I suppose, in a way, considering the performance in the second, Motherwell done everything that they possibly could in that first half to stop it. I mean, the amount of guys, and of course I'm at the game, right? So I don't get a replay of all the incidents and stuff like that. And I tried to watch a wee quick highlights package before we started. But the amount of guys rolling about the floor, claiming they've been smashed in the face, they're injured. There must have been 3 or 4 occasions in that first half where the game was stopped for a good 2 or 3 minutes at a time.
And it's nothing unusual when it comes to teams who are trying to slow the game down and make it a stodgy, horrible affair. Because they know that if they can make it a stodgy, horrible affair, that's when they have their better chances against us, and we fall for it, and we end up getting into a fight, and it's turgid to watch. But it didn't surprise me. I wasn't jumping up and shouting at the TV like I normally would be. Particularly with that one with was it Gordon with serial Dessers, where he's gone down holding his face like he's just been elbowed square in the eye. I'm still on watching replays because again with Robert on the living room loyal, because it's a long ass way from Norwich. But all the replays I've seen, I've yet to see Dessers' elbow go anywhere near his face. So whether he's smacked his head off the floor when he's gone down, and that was the root cause of it, I don't know. But yeah, there was just all the time, and I was a bit shocked it was only 5 minutes at the end of the first half, in fairness. Because that Gordon one alone was probably worth about 4 or 5 itself.
I was really confused that it was only 2 minutes added on at the end of the game. If I'm being brutally honest, I don't know where they only got, because of the amount of, just purely on the amount of subs that were made in the second half, they only added on 2 minutes. Which at the time I'm sitting there going, I'm sitting with my missus and I'm going, thank God, by the way, because there was another 3 or 4 minutes as an opportunity for them to grab a goal in this. But Robert, and Iain as well, I suppose. We've been advocates. We've got a Scottish football show. Robert, you certainly don't hide the fact that you want Scottish football to be as good as it can. You want to advertise the game. You want to promote the game. We discuss all the teams. We discussed in the last one about how good the Dundee derby was, about how good it is now to have 3 top derbies in the top league. I just wish that I get it. It's a small team. It's a team with no fans. It's a team that aren't very good. They've got one excellent player. That's about it. That's all that football club offers the top league, right? People may get the point. I don't like Motherwell very much, right? But see all that jumping about, rolling about the floor, stopping the game. I mean, if there's neutrals watching that, they're watching that going, this is pub football. And how much, Robert, have we spoke about wanting to promote the league and wanting the Scottish League to be better? Get all that in the bin.
Listen, clearly Stuart Kettlewell's got his players in before the game. He spoke in the lead up to the game about how bereft his team was, in terms of injuries. So he's trying to do anything he can to get something from the game. So they've said, just time waste as much as you can, try and slow the game down, especially with how but how fast paced it was in terms of control from ourselves in the first 25 minutes. So that's probably played its part. But, not a great look at all. But what can you do? I think Lewis spoke highly last night about players trying to be athletic, and that's how you keep up with it. But the other teams keep up with the old firm in terms of quality. They've got to be more athletic. But today you didn't really see that until maybe the last 10-15 minutes. So I spoke on the Scottish Football Show maybe 2 weeks ago saying that I thought Motherwell might be top 6. I'd like to retract that if I can, because they look really poor. They've brought in a lot of players. I know they've had a lot of injuries, but I don't see a real style of play. They look like they're just going to sit behind the ball and try and catch you on the counter if they can. Andy Halliday in the middle of the pitch looks, way short of the player that we've saw. So there'd be no excuses today if we hadn't got the 3 points. I think that was a really, really poor Motherwell side, even on the side that finished bottom 6 last season.
Every team has an off day, though, I suppose, because the second best team in Scotland are getting pumped right now. So every team has an off day. Robert, sticking with yourself, in terms of the start to the game, though, this is what I think we need to discuss the positives. Thought we started really well, on the front foot, attacking, trying to make things happen. Scott Wright involved heavily in that. The first kind of 2 big chances that come our way, Scott Wright's involved. So in terms of how we started the game, which is a complaint that we had last season, that, we weren't starting games quick. It was most of the time taking us to concede before we started. We made a really, really good impression.
Scott Wright was powered by birthday cake and some good birthday presents. But
It's Hampden.
Well, listen, I've been saying I feel like forever on this podcast, the way you win the Scottish Premiership is you play with a high tempo, you move teams about. You saw it with with Celtic when they've won titles, they've played quick football. That's what you've got to do in this league. And I feel we've done that for, as I say, the first 25 minutes. We were great, zipping balls into feet. Some great movement as well. You look at the Cerny goal, which I'm sure we'll come on to. That was a great bit of football. So that you've got to try and sustain that for longer periods. So 25 minutes is all well and good. And I feel like when Clement came in, we done bits and bobs of that, and we said, right, okay, let's build on that in the next game, and it never really came. So it's on the manager to try and instill in these players that you've got to go like that for longer periods, 45 minutes, 60 minutes, 70 minutes if you can. But if you can do that for 70 minutes, you'll bury in most of these teams in this division by 3 or 4 at that point. But it's just whether you can actually sustain that for a full season. So interesting to see how we build on that. As you mentioned, Scott Wright, I know he's Marmite for some people in this chat and obviously on the podcast. But I actually think we spoke last night. Wolf touched, hit the nail on the head. The manager trusts him. The manager seems to like players that carry out instructions to the letter, and Scott Wright is that player. You give him a bit of paper and say, that's what you're doing today, and he'll do it for you. So credit to him. I think he's hung in there. Most of us thought he'd be gone by now. There was all this talk about Sheffield Wednesday and, Turkey in January. He's still here and he's contributing. So I liked what I saw in the first 25 minutes. It's just about building that and getting more of it, because that's what gets you off the edge of your seat. You're proud of your team when you're watching them on the front foot like that.
Yeah, well, I was fortunate that the first half Rangers were shooting towards the goal that I was sitting behind. So I managed to see Rangers in the first half, second half they were the other side, and I didn't really get to see much yet because Hampden is truly awful. I don't even want to get into how much I despise that stadium. National Stadium, by the way, embarrassing, absolutely, absolutely embarrassing. Ian, Scott Wright and Dessers had a Dessers moment, both of them at the kind of same time. However, I actually think Scott Wright does really well. Actually, when the ball's played over, I think he takes a really good touch, and it's actually really good defending and then really good goalkeeping.
It is, and I'm assuming that's from the Cerny pass into him, which was one of a few that Cerny was doing today, because that man certainly did improve on what we saw on Tuesday night, because we said that he did look a little bit off it on Tuesday night, but we'll get to him, I'm sure. But yeah, Scott Wright does well, gets the touch, gets around the goalkeeper, and like you say, good defending. It's a typical Rangers thing. We get round and they clear it off the line. It's something that happens quite often. If you go back and watch games, the amount of shots we actually get cleared off the line is ridiculous. And then Dessers gets to follow that up, and the keeper makes a great save to stop it going 1-0. When we were looking good at that point, there was some good interplay, particularly down the right hand side. I think Tav and Cerny seemed to be on the same page. Tav was doing all right going forward. I will come back to him later, but he was. They seem to be building quite a partnership on that side already. Early days, granted, but it did look good. And for the first 20 minutes at least, I was actually saying, I'm quite glad he's playing today as Scott Wright, because he's doing really well. But then it's Hampden, like we were saying. I was expecting that one to go in just because it was Hampden.
Yeah, it's because, but it did go in shortly after him, and a man who I think when it comes to Dessers and Wright and Lawrence, I think the discussion that we're probably going to have is twofold. I think there's going to be positives and also negatives thrown in there throughout this full show that we do today. But we're starting obviously right now with the positives, just in case anybody jumps into the comments and thinks that I'm saying Scott Wright is the greatest thing since sliced bread and he's going to help us win the league, because he isn't. Right? Let's just state that fact right away. He is not good enough long term or right now, to be brutally honest, to help us win a league title. However, when a player plays okay for a certain period of time and you're doing a reaction show, you have to then turn around and say the player played well and the player played okay. So yeah, I'm just caveating what I'm saying, Ian, by the fact that Dessers much maligned. It felt as if in the social media world that we all seem to live in, that the opinion was slightly starting to change on Dessers. He was getting a bit more love after his goal against Kiev, and the thing on social media about him paying for haircuts. There seemed to be a kind of swaying, and then he pops up with a goal again.
Personally, I think that Scott Wright's going to win as a Champions League. You heard it here first. But click that one up.
Manager.
Yeah, not even on Football Manager. But I mean, Dessers gives you what Dessers gives you. He's not going to change. That's the Dessers you're going to have. I mean, I know that he says that he wants to get better, and the manager's telling us that he wants to get better. But at his age, the chances of him actually changing the way he plays and the style in which he plays is very unlikely. So Dessers is Dessers, and he's going to remain that one where some people love him. I know people that absolutely love him and don't want him to leave at all. And I've got other people that I know that, like, if he left tomorrow, they'd go and pack his suitcase for him, as long as the quality coming in improves the team. So, but personally, I like the big man. I don't think he is the number one striker. If we do get another striker in, it will be a number one that comes in, and Dessers may have to play second fiddle. Where that leaves Danilo, which I'm no doubt we'll talk about later as well, I don't know. But Dessers is never going to change. So what you see week in, week out is what you're going to get. And it's just going to be that either he's going to score fantastic goals, which you didn't know he had in him, or he's going to miss absolute sitters, which we knew he was going to miss, because that's just Dessers. Lawrence, I again, first half of the first half, if you like. Thought he was all right, but then again started to trail off and disappear. It seems to be a common trait for him now. And Scott Wright. We talked.
Can I just jump straight in there, Ian, and come straight back to you, because I'm going to say something that I never thought I would be saying.
Yeah,
I think, and not that he was involved all the time, but I think there was a massive difference, a massive shift in how we were playing football once Lawrence went off the park.
yeah.
I think we were playing better football with Tom Lawrence on the park. And I don't mean that
subs when we get to the second half, because I think that did massively change the game.
It's just because you mentioned them. It's not that I'm sitting here saying that every good thing we done today was because of Tom Lawrence, but there seemed to be a definite shift when Diomande was pushed into that number 10 role.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's easy for Lawrence when you've got Diomande and Barron doing the hard running for him, and he can do what he does, because there is quality there. You can see the quality that Tom Lawrence has got, and if the ball's going to land to anybody outside the box to hit a shot, he's the one you want it to land to as well. So because he's got a hell of a shot on him, and he's shown that over and over and over again. I think as he came off, he was knackered again. So I don't know how fit Tom Lawrence is or what he needs to do to improve his fitness, but he does look like he's blowing out of his backside by the end of the first half, unfortunately. But again, I mean, we'll get to the substitutions in the second half, but I don't think they did us any favours in the grand scheme of things. I know they had to be made, and that particularly that Cerny and probably Proper as well needed to come off due to fitness issues and still getting used to the pace of our game. But
he's fucking good, by the way.
Well, I'm sure we'll talk about him as well. I mean, me and Robert had a tiny little.
You borrowed Lewis's dictionary tonight, have you?
I'm sorry.
Superb.
I'm sorry, right? I'm really sorry. And look, we'll get this out the road because I want to actually discuss them properly, right? So, Robert, we went ahead for long. I didn't really see the goal, if I'm being honest, because I was pretty much at the back at Aikenhead Road, right? And Motherwell were pretty much in the Gorbals. But I seen a replay. The cross comes in, Suter nods it on. In terms of the own goal, it's a poor own goal, right? He's just stuck his foot out, obviously trying to divert the ball, and it's went in the back of the net, right? So if you want to give me your opinion on that, that's fine. However, I want to add on top of that was his first game for us, and I paid quite a close attention. I was watching him quite a lot, and he was coaching or trying to coach that full defence through that whole game. He was so vocal that whole game. He was so aggressive, and I thought he was excellent, really, really good at winning the ball back. I think, considering that's only his first game for us, we have a seriously good defender.
Well, listen, you were at the game, so I'll trust your opinion. I would like to reserve opinion to have maybe seen him sort of a handful of times at least. I thought today, as Iain said, you listened to his pre-match presser, and he said the Scottish game, when I was watching it at Tynecastle, it's the adjustments I've got to make. The game is a lot quicker here, and I think he certainly saw that. You saw with the goal, he was a little bit deeper than John Suter. Maybe should have been held his line a little bit better. When it comes in as well, it's a bit of a bizarre own goal, because I don't think he's under any real pressure to sort of make that sort of movement or challenge, for want of a better phrase. People on social media were really going in on James Tavernier, saying that he should have maybe sort of stopped the cross from coming in. Suter then, I don't know what he's doing, gets a head onto it, and it's lefty proper, and it's a real shame. I think it's a real shame for his debut, because it does slightly blot the copy paper of his debut. People will always remember the own goal he scored, but it can only get better from here. I think the saving grace is, we win the game. It's not one that's cost us massively, and I dare say he's going to start on Tuesday night. He's the manager's player. The manager's brought him in. He's not brought him in. He's sitting on the bench. John Suter and Ben Davies are players that he's not brought in. We've spoke numerous times now about Leon Balogun being more of a squad player, an option to come in when players need rested. But at the moment, you'd have to say Balogun and Proper look like the actual defenders in the team. I've said for a long time, I think John Suter's an absolute hype. Right, now you can shoot me down in the comments if you like. I don't think he's turned in a 10 out of 10 for Rangers. I think he's culpable. I think at times he's very lackadaisical. The only time I can ever remember him actually ever playing a complete match was for Scotland. I don't think he's the sort of guy that's going to lead you to titles. I think there's a mistake in him. So I think it's an area of concern in terms of your partnership. Clement doesn't seem to know his best 11 at the moment. And that's obviously going to take time, because he's got to try and still suss out the new guys that are coming in. Hopefully we're going to see more new faces before the window shuts in 3 weeks' time. So, but to answer your question, I think for me, it'd be nice to just assess Robin proper. Let's not go in either too high or too low on him. He's played today.
I'm getting.
he's got a W under his belt, and it's something to build on. So I'm sure he's an experienced player. See, if it was a young guy, or Leon King, or a younger player that scored an own goal in Seattle, maybe you'd be worried that they might get in their head. Robin Cropper's an experienced pro. He'll wipe that under the carpet and move on to Tuesday night.
Well, straight after it, he was back on it. I don't really think he put much of a foot wrong, to be honest. Alex Miller said, not a great debut. OG yellow card and hooked. Go with Robert. Wait a bit. He wasn't hooked. He had an injury. He get taken off because of an injury.
You've got to listen to the manager again. Players were always going to come off in this game. We're still trying to manage fitness and minutes. But let's bear in mind the squad's no massive. We've not got a plethora of talent waiting to go on this bench. We're trying to navigate a Champions League playoff, a good start in the league, and obviously the League Cup starts as well, nice Nelly. So it's a balancing act, and if hooked, I think is the wrong word to use. Let's not throw shade.
He was down holding his groin. He had a groin strain. That's why he went off.
So listen, it's for me, it was a 6 out of 10 performance. I think he was okay.
Iain, just for me, you know how sometimes, and everybody's different. Everybody's got different opinions, and that's what's great about podcasts, and that's what's great about football in general. Sometimes a player will come in, and you'll look at a player, and you'll go, right, he could be good, he might be good, but like Robert says, with all players, most players, you need to give them time. But then you get players that come in and just you personally look at them and go, no, I think that's a player. I think that's a proper player. I had it with Sibo. No, I'm joking. But I'm just looking at proper today. And it's not so much about the overall performance. It's about more than that. It's about how he conducted himself on the park, how professional he looked, the fact that he wasn't scared to scream and shout at players. Like Robert says, this isn't a young boy that's coming in. This is a 30-year-old seasoned professional. And I just looked at him and I thought to myself, you are what we have been crying out for.
So we can't. I get Robert's point that you can't make a judgment on a player on day one and the first game and all the rest of it. But how many players have we seen recently over the last few years where they've played one game and we've gone, he's shit, and that's the way it stayed. Doesn't matter how good they've got, they've always remained that they're crap. They're going to I'll show you they're crap. They're going to show it in a minute. They'll show it, and then they improve and they improve. When Borna first come in, for example, we said this kid ain't got it. He ain't got it. And to a man, everybody ain't got it. Then he scored against St Mirren. He went on the run of his life, and all of a sudden he was like, right, brilliant. Don't need anybody else. He's there. And then he went back to being Borna. But so I'm with Robert. I'm not all in. I'm not 100% all in. He looks a quality player. I like the fact that he can read the game, and the fact that when the ball's there to be won, he goes to win it. He doesn't stand off and wait to see what's going to happen. He just goes to win it. As for his booking, I'll get it out there now. I'm pretty sure he got booked for winning the ball. Just because he took two defenders with it when he won the ball doesn't mean it's a foul or a booking. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I didn't see any, but the only two bookings I can remember today were Proper and Ridvan for fouls that were happening all over the pitch.
Ridvan's was a yellow.
I'm not arguing it was a yellow.
Handball.
There were fouls, similar fouls all over the pitch today, but they get moved on. Same thing. So new season, same Scottish referees. There we go. That's I've had that little rant out of the way. But I like the look of him. I like the way he can read the game. I like the way he's not afraid to go in for a challenge. And like Robert says, it's not going to get to him. He's an experienced player. He'll just dust it off and come back.
On the booking for him, Robert, I only got to see it once, and to me anyway, and I could be completely wrong here. Please tell me if I am. It looked to me as if he'd come in for the side and won the ball clearly. Now, if he's came through the back, fair enough. He's came through, and it was quite a forceful challenge. If he's came through the back and got a yellow card for that, I don't really think too many people can complain. But from where I was sitting, and it was kind of in front of me, I say in front of me, I did have my binoculars, obviously. But it looked as though he came in for the side and won the ball, albeit with a bit of pace.
Well, listen, I think it's a culmination of force and the official officiating the match. He's not got the best track record, and as JD says, yes, he's one of them. Do you know what I mean? I just think it's Kevin Clancy. It's a yellow card. I'm not going to sit here and argue about it. It's not cost us a game, so it's a bit of a, it's something else for want of a better phrase. But I just think it shows he's committed. It shows he's a defender first and foremost. I don't think he said himself, he's not a ball playing defender. We saw, I think, against Hearts and slightly more so against Kiev, we seem to go long, so we're not going to be using. Yeah, I don't think two ball playing centre backs. We're not going to. I don't think that's Clement's style. Goldson's get out, so if we need to play the odd diagonal, maybe we will. He said he can do that. He said he's got a bit of passing in him, but I think we're going to be trying to get that centre, the defence up high, hammering it up to Dessers and seeing if we can play off him. To come back, if I can, onto Dessers' goal. Iain said, much maligned. I've been in that camp. Don't want him. Get him out, Sharon. All of that carry on. But I think he's been. I've turned on him. I think he's carrying the torch. He's keeping a man that cost £6 million on the bench. Can't even get a minute.
We'll come on to that.
I actually will go as far as saying, and people won't forgive me for this, I don't think we're going to bring in a striker unless Danilo goes out. Unless Danilo maybe goes out on loan, then maybe so. I think the manager rates Dessers, and I say that because I've watched in the pre-match press against Kiev when Balogun was questioned. Clement comes in and jumps to his defence, and then after, I'm knocking this laptop about, and then after the game as well, Clement's out as well, almost saying defenders hate playing against him now, really bigging up his striker. So I think that tells me that he likes Dessers, he rates Dessers.
He scored 2 goals in 2 games.
And listen, and let's go back to last season as well. He carried us, whether you like it or not, for all the chances he missed. Let's remember all the chances he put away, right? So it's important to remember that he has he's done his bit, and it must be hard for him as well. Hearing he's had a great season, come off the back of these Serie A seasons. I don't think he even got to double digits in Serie A. He scored almost 20 goals for Glasgow Rangers, and people are still no sure of him. That can't be good for him and his shoulders. So his mentality is great. He keeps coming back for more and more. He's playing 90 minutes every other game now. I think Dessers is here for the long run. I don't think we're going to cash in on him.
Well, I'll bring up this comment actually, and I'll come straight back to you, Robert, and then Iain, if you want to jump in after it. LT1872, as Robert's wee dog goes off its nut, because it's obviously not been allowed in the room. Danilo 0 minutes again, and yet no one questions Clement after the game. We then decide to spend on $2 million on a striker who can't even train with the first team. Decision making at the club is a shambles. So just coming straight back to you, Robert, and then Iain, feel free to jump in. I get that point of view. I do also want to come back and talk about John Suter, by the way. I'm not ignoring that. But I'm on the same page as you, Robert, in terms of Dessers, in terms of he can do a job. Whether he is the man who can lead the line for us to go and start winning leagues and winning cups, I don't know. I'm not quite there, right? But he can clearly score goals. However, after 70, 75 minutes a day, Robert, his job is done, right? He's been chasing the ball all day. He's kind of blown out his arse a wee bit, and we've got a £6 million striker sitting on the bench. Whether he's worth £6 million is irrelevant. We paid $6 million for him, and he's got 0 minutes again. So yeah, I take your point completely on board. Dessers has scored a goal. He's ran about. He's played well for the team, but he can't play 90 minutes every single game, and that's now three competitive games, and Danilo has the grand total of 0 minutes.
Listen, it's a head scratcher for want of a better phrase again. But Clement said himself the reason he didn't play him on Tuesday night because we weren't winning the game. So didn't want to bring him on when we're chasing a game. Today, the game's almost still in the balance. We've seen ourselves, we've been in this position before, and we've drawn a game or lost a game, and we'll probably talk about later on. The latter hours of the game, but we could have probably drawn it again. There was Motherwell had a couple of chances, maybe a good chance and a wee half chance. So I don't know why he feels he can't put Danilo in this situation. Let's remember, yes, he's had injuries, but he's just had a pre-season now. And there was I get about a 4 or 5 minute interview with him on Sky Sports with Mark Benstead when we spoke about the injuries behind him. He really wants to contribute this season. Then Cerny comes in and everyone's sharing the clips of him and Cerny at 20, linking up well and creating chances, scoring goals. So the hype's building. We're thinking, right, brilliant, we've got another guy in. They've already got a relationship on the field. These guys can play together. And Hefty comes in as well, a Brazilian. Right, we've got a bit of camaraderie now. These guys can connect on the park. And we're just no seeing Danilo. So the only man that can answer the question is Philippe Clement, and he's not been asked it, to be honest. He's not been asked the question. In terms of Igamani, I think that's slightly different. I don't believe you know, that we paid that much money for him. You listened to Stu Wright a couple of weeks ago on the podcast and said maybe that fee maybe been reported incorrectly. We've seen snippets of him training with the first team, maybe no training with the first team. I don't think he's in the shape that Clement wants in terms of first team player. Lovelace seems to be training with the first team ahead of him. So I don't think we've paid £2 million for that kid. I could be wrong, but I don't think we have. So let's park him, because he was never going to be one that was coming in to play anyway. We're always going to have to, if we're going to bring in a striker that's going to be ready for the first team, it's going to have to be an import from either our own league or elsewhere. But I do think if you're going to bring somebody in, i.e. a Shankland, somebody for the continent, you know, Majovski, I know he's linked with La Liga. MD, if you're going to bring MD in that's going to be ready for the first team, one of these guys needs to move, because you're not going to have Danilo and Dessers sat on the bench happily. You can't have a £6 million guy third choice, never mind second choice.
No, you really can't. And the manager said in his press conference when he was asked about certain players not starting or being on the bench, the manager's reaction was like, well, fans will be fans. They don't know what happens in the background. They don't know what's going on. And there's nothing wrong with that. Fans are allowed to be fans. So thank God we're allowed to be fans. But I mean, it's I don't understand if Danilo's on the bench, it means that he can then physically go on the pitch. Somebody else put in the comments here, we're 0-0 with Hearts, we don't look like scoring, and we don't bring on a player who can score goals. Today, we could see the way the game was going in that second half. We could see how much it was dragging on. And I'll repeat myself, Desser's done his job. He got his goal. He done this. He done that. What the hell is wrong with refreshing your striker? Because we're now going to play Dessers for another 90 minutes on Tuesday. That's 4 games in a row he's played 90 minutes without any sort of break.
The one thing that Clement has said a lot of, particularly when it comes to players coming back from injury and players going and new players coming in, is it's about managing the time they getting minutes in their legs and all the rest of it. So why is Danilo not being afforded that same chance that everyone else is getting to come back from injury, get the minutes in their legs, build it up, get them ready to go? I mean, it's a strange one for me. I agree with the comment before about last week. He could have come on and changed the game maybe and scored a winner. Equally, Tuesday night, we were chasing the game on Tuesday night. Danilo was an option off the bench, didn't use him. All right, it worked out in the end. And today, yeah, the game's still in the balance. Like Robert says, the game is in the balance, but the way you get the game out of the balance is to bring that attacking option on to try and score a goal. From what I've seen, the bits we have seen, obviously he's had 2 horrendous injuries since he's been here as well. But the bits I have seen of him, he is quite clinical in front of goal. You take that last minute chance against Hearts. I know we're going back into the depths of last season, but that's a quality finish. So there's quality there. He has scored goals. So unless there's something going on in the background that we don't know, and there's another fallout, I don't know. I'm not saying there is. I don't have any inside track on what's going on there. Clement was obviously right.
Pretend you do and start a rumour. Come on.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's what we could do.
Get people tuning in. Do you know, we should just start lying and start making up rumours just to get more and more people to tune in.
Robert Shankland's not an actual player. It's actually Robert in a mask.
Ah, jeez, oh. How come you've no signed for us yet? Yeah. I mean, Timothy Sharp's in the medical team must think his fitness is good enough because he's on the bench. And if his fitness isn't good enough and he's not ready to start, like somebody else said in the comments, put him with the B team and bring a youngster up and just sit a youngster on the bench if you're not going to use him. Because then you won't have people like us on something like this saying, why is our highest paid striker sitting on the bench? I just personally don't get it. But we did win. So I suppose the manager will say, shut up, we won the game.
But we're allowed to be fans.
But we're allowed to be fans. Yes, thank God for that. Absolutely thank God for that. Ian, can I come back to you before we get to Cerny, which I'm dying to get to? I want to finish off the point, if Robert would stop making funny faces. Robert's point about John Souttar. Now, if people go back and watch old shows, they will see me defend John Souttar. I was always under the opinion that I thought he was a cracking defender. I thought if he had a better defender beside him, you would see that. My mind is slowly starting to change, Ian. I watched him today and he looked nervous. He was constantly looking to prepare to see what to do. For a guy who's played as many games as he has for us, is slightly worrying. What's your thoughts on Souttar's performance today and John Souttar in general?
Well, we always take the mick out of Robert in the chat because he says stuff about Souttar, which is like, well, you just don't like him, and it's just a one-way street with you, and you'll never come. But no, I mean, the last few games, it's not even that. Even until the end of last season and to the start of this season now, he just looks like he's afraid to do anything just in case it goes wrong. I mean, the first half for the own goal, he knocks that head, then he does the flick on with the header where he had no real reason to. You could probably say that Proper should probably be telling him there's nobody there, leave, or tell him it's his ball or whatever. And then in the second half, a similar thing happens. The ball gets flighted into the box. He goes to jump for it to clear it, and then has a second thought and ducks out the way of it, which could have actually got us into trouble because Tav's not prepared for that to happen.
Him and Tav were both ball watching at that point.
Yeah. I mean, to come back to that goal as well, that's another reason. I mean, that cross should never have got in because Tav should have closed it down quicker. And there was a guy in the middle of the park all by himself, and that shouldn't be allowed either. But we'll just go back to Souttar. He just looks like he looks like you say nervous. He looks like he's afraid to do anything just in case it goes wrong. I mean, when he used to be at Hearts, you could see he was probably too good to be playing centre back for Hearts, and he was their best centre back, and he was a siege defender, which is probably where his skills lie. A team that constantly comes at you. I just don't think he's got the concentration levels to be a defender in a team that rarely, and particularly in that first half, they rarely attacked us with any malice. So I just don't think he's got it in him to do it, and he looks terrified.
Can I just let everybody know, by the way, that people have been asking for a while, so I've finally delivered. The Rangers Rabble now has some merchandise, would you believe it or not? You can get your very own Rangers Rabble mug, which is getting delivered to me on Monday. So on Monday night's show, if I'm on, which I probably will be, you'll get to see the new Rangers Rabble mug. I've also got a t-shirt coming, so you'll be able to see that. There's hoodies, there's t-shirts, there's women's hoodies, all available on our website, which the link.
Did you say there was wee G strings with your face in the front of them?
No, I told you I had ordered that for me privately.
Oh, right.
Oh,
okay.
really? You shouldn't have put it on the store. I ordered 7 of them.
The link for that is in the description if you want to have a look. And that's where you can also find our blogs. Yes, we are back into writing. You got his mug today. Well, good. I hope it's nice. I hope it's looking good. Send us a wee picture on socials with that, Paul, and we'll get that retweeted. But yeah, there's blogs there as well. We have started writing again, and if you are interested in writing, I know that we have John Hall, who is a member. So John, please get in touch through email. If you're interested in writing and you want to write for the Rangers Rabble, then get in touch with us either on social media, DM us, or get in touch with us get in touch with us via email at rangersrabble@gmail.com. No, but there will be.
Finn Fogel needs locking up.
No, Finn, we don't have that, and we will get plates in shortly. Shall we hear for the manager and get that out of the road, and then we'll carry on with the game?
I was going to say they're still in testing, but it's still in tasting.
It's I'm working with deviants, folks. I am working with deviants. Right, okay, let's hear for the manager quickly, because I didn't realise that we're now 40 minutes into the show and we're still not out of the first half yet. So, let's hear what the manager had to say. We'll come back. We'll discuss Cerny's goal, the manager's comments, and the second half.
So we've got a 2-1 victory here this afternoon. How do you assess that one for your squad?
That it's well deserved, and we wanted to give the fans, first time here, a really good afternoon and to score more goals. So we had chances enough for that. A few good saves also, or shots blocked. But I think it's a really positive game, and it was from the first minute we took the game in hand. We created chances already in the first minutes, and the fans went directly behind the team, like they always do in those circumstances. So I think it's a positive afternoon so early in the season.
How happy were you with that start from your squad? Because we could really see the intent really early on.
Yeah, it's about working on things. It's about explaining things. It's about doing things together. And you see, you start with 2 players who are just in the building, but who understands the game and what you want to do. So I saw already a lot of positive things of our two signings also. So yeah, it's a important game again.
Vaclav obviously got on the score sheet and really showed his quality with that goal too.
Yeah, and that's why we got him here. So that's the idea also to strengthen the squad and to get players in with quality and experience next to our young boys who did also a really good game, like Conor Barron, for example, playing a good game in midfield. So you see more and more the automatism we try to create. Second half, we should have scored the third goal, and then you kill the belief with the opponent, and then it's a different end of the game. But we didn't give away much, or Jack didn't have to make too many saves or almost nothing. So it's a positive afternoon for sure in between two European games.
To be creating those number of chances and really good chances too must be pleasing for you.
Yes, creating the chances and also the way, like it was in training, like we want to do it in different ways. So the team is really hungry to learn, to become better, to gel together, and to play a really good season. So important victory in that way.
And it is, like you say, a huge night on Tuesday, another really exciting game for the squad to prepare for now.
Yes, for sure, and it's good after a victory also. It's good for the fans also. That gives extra belief. We know it's a really big test against Kiev because it's a really quality team, and we're going to go full to qualify to the next round. So we did really good things in Kiev, in Lublin against them, but we need to learn also some things we can make better. So we're going to work on that the next 2 days, and then to have a terrific European evening here with 50,000 crazy people behind the team. I'm counting on that.
I don't know about 50,000 crazy people. There's about 500 crazy people in our comments. It's absolutely mental, and folks, you should be extremely ashamed of yourself. I'm trying to conduct a professional show here, and Robert is struggling to keep control. This is not a comedy show, although I really wish it was. I wish I was funny enough to be a comedian. But Iain, in all seriousness, the manager there seemed, happy enough with the performance and the win, whilst also acknowledging that certain things have to get better, which is pretty much kind of what we are saying.
Yeah, he's pretty much done what he's managed to get out in less than 3 minutes. What we've taken 43 to get out, but we do it in a lot of ways. No, Ian Thompson, we're not getting those type of mugs.
We're just fans, but
we are just fans, though. So, but we're allowed to be. That's fine. But we can't disagree with anything he said because we've literally just spent the last 45 minutes saying exactly the same thing. So. Happy to get the 3 points, but we know there's stuff that needs improving. What more does he need to say? He's not going to come out. He's not the likes of what was that Bristolian Ian Holloway. He's not going to come out and rant live on TV. He's not going to throw players under the bus. He's not going to do anything like that. He's a media trained manager, so he's going to come out and just. I'm happy with it. We got the 3 points. We'll move on next week. We'll get to Tuesday. We'll have a great night because these nutters will help us through. That's what he needs to do.
Ian, I think the manager's presser, dare I say it, is more aimed at the players. The way he sort of bigs up the performance. We all saw the performance, like it was game of two halves. He was quite honest in his assessment last week when he said Hearts won the first half, we won the second half. I think it was a bit like that this week in the sense that we were really good first half, really poor second half. Well, I say really poor, but not as good second half.
We were really poor second half.
But he's not come out and said that, so he's obviously trying to build the confidence of the squad. He's trying to build the confidence of the players that have just come in. He's trying to keep everything together. That's the sort of job of a manager. Sometimes they're a wee bit like politicians. I know we don't like politicians, but they've got to toe the party line sometimes. He's not going to come out and start berating people. We've got the win. Just take the W and move on.
Well, he was asked about Cerny, obviously, Robert. Very happy with his performance. Before we come to the goal, you can see he has quality, but you can also see that he's still not up to full speed. There's still a lot more to come from him, but what a finish.
Listen, he showed signs which say to me that if he carries on in that vein for the full season, the fans will have him on a pedestal. Another loan player that we're probably going to fall in love with. Hopefully, he's not going to be another Seamer situation. Hopefully, there's something in place where we can get him for a decent price should he perform throughout the campaign. What I like about him, I don't know if you're going to play it, but he spoke as well after the game, and I thought his assessment was more closer to the mark. He spoke more honestly about the first 45 and how we were great and playing into spaces, and we want to build on that. I think he's got a real experience about him. You saw the way he was sort of creating spaces, moving into wee pockets. The ball for Tavernier is great. Brings it on his left peg, and it's a wonderful finish. Worthy of winning any game, I think we'll all agree. As we say, again, built it proper, early signs, but I think he's one that once we get him up to speed, I think he's a first team player. He's a first name in the team sheet. You don't loan a guy for Wolfsburg, and then there's a dug away again. You don't loan a guy for Wolfsburg and then put him on the bench. People are to come back. People are in there about Scott Wright, and what other options do we have at the moment? I know Hefty can play further forward, and you saw a wee glimpse of that, but that's not his natural position. We've got to try and play Cerny on the right hand side, which ain't great for McCausland, but I don't think McCausland was hitting any great heights towards the end of last season.
I think there's been a change in McCausland, by the way. I genuinely think there's been a change.
Do you think that's because there's a fire up him? You got somebody in here now who's going to take jersey? Aye.
He's not played much, and all the time that he's been in the park, he's not been sensational. But there's been one or two things I've seen for Ross. That directness, that just taking players on and gone past them. He's not done it much, but when he has done it, he's looked good. So I think there's been a slight change in mentality with Ross, and only he can then prove to the manager that he should get more minutes, etc., etc. But Iain, for me, and I will play his interview, I'll play it in a wee second because it's only 2 minutes. But the one thing I did notice was it wasn't just his goal. It's not just that he's willing to take people on, but he's good at the passing, see the 1-2s, and not just that. When he gets the ball, he's not looking back like quite a few players in our team. He's looking forward. He wants to attack.
Yeah, that was the most impressive thing. That every time he got the ball, I think there was a moment even in our half, by our box, we could easily just play the ball back to Butland to clear the lines or play it to another defender. He's turned the Motherwell player and played forward in our own half. He had the confidence not to go backwards, but to immediately try and go forward, and a little bit of skill got him there. But every time he got that ball, there was no thought, right, who's behind me? It was, right, who's in front of me? Who can I give this ball to? If there's nobody there and there's space, I'm going for it. And some of his passing was superb. I mean, the fact that the ball that we've already talked about when he put it into Wright, who reigns the goalkeeper, that was a superb ball. And his finish, almost had the phrase, but not quite. Nearly. But I kept the T-shirt in the drawer for another week until we get something that's worthwhile putting it on for. But I mean, all in all, for an official starting debut, I think he did really, really well.
He did. I think he did. Right, okay, let's hear from him then. As Robert's teased us all with what he said. So it's only 2 minutes, folks. Let's hear from him.
Vaclav, a first Rangers start and a first Rangers goal. How delighted are you with that?
Very delighted, obviously. First of all, about the 3 points, which were well needed. And I think, we showed the first half specifically what we want to do, what we prepared for, and good to win this game.
And it was a goal you scored of real quality. Is that something you're hoping to bring to this Rangers team this season?
Definitely. Obviously, those kind of games where the position, where you're on the ball a lot, you need to be creative, try to find the spaces. And I mean, with this action, for example, we did it perfectly and, found the right spaces and attack. And, the finish was good. So a good action.
And just on the performance overall, was it just important to get that first 3 points after the draw last weekend?
Definitely. Good start at home, temporary home. Such an important thing to start with the win and to get everybody behind us and let's go for more from here.
And that first home match you touched on, what was it like playing in front of those fans for the first time?
No, I enjoyed it so much. Couldn't wait, obviously, to get started and to play those games. And I enjoyed every second of it, and can't wait for the next one.
Of course, you've been here for a few weeks now. How are you settling in now at Rangers?
No, I have to say, everybody helped me so much to settle as fast as possible, and big appreciation from my side, and feeling home already, and speaking for my family as well. So that's the most important thing for me, and now it's just focus on football.
Yeah, and just lastly, of course, another massive game on Tuesday night. Now, is it just about preparing for that?
Yeah, recover well, and stick together, and be ready for Tuesday.
Don't fall in love with a lone player. It's a simple task.
But it's hard, isn't it? He speaks
No.
so well, and you can tell he's got a bit of class about him. He sounds really focused as well, which I quite like. I think, I know we say this often, I think he's got it. He's bought into it. He understands it, even with the way just temporary home, just wee things like that. I think he understands the club, and I dare say, if a deal to be done, hopefully we can get him over the line. He seems like a good guy to have around the squad. So, in terms of experience as well. So I like him. I don't love him. I just like him. All right, Martin. Before you jump in there,
He's all right. He's all right.
I think what I liked about him is as Iain said, it's how he wants to play in terms of tempo, quick. He wants to play fast. He doesn't want to be sitting behind the ball and tippy-tappy. He wants into his feet and get players turn, get players moving. And that's, as I say, is how you win the title in Scotland. You need to be playing fast. Is that Phil Clement on the phone? No?
No, that's the timer for my casserole that's getting cooked. That's what that was.
There's rock and roll for you. That's rock and roll, that, isn't it? It's nice. Casserole, boys.
It's a dinner for the poor. That's what it is, and I absolutely love it. I mean, who's asking the questions? Martin would do a better job. No, I wouldn't. I really wouldn't. I think was it Nick Thompson asking the questions?
No, it was a female. Was it a female?
Oh, Cerny.
But listen, it's a club channel. They're not going to be putting them under fire, are they? They're trying to create a bit of positivity. So if you want difficult questions, you better get Hugh Keeves in front of him with a microphone. It's not going to happen for the club. They're trying to create a positive image and create positivity, and I think we should be doing the same. We've had enough negativity for so long now.
Well, I'll tell you something right now, Robert, and I'll come straight back to you. You want some positivity? Talk to me about Connor Barron. I am in love with this boy. Absolute head over heels. He can come to my house and I'll leave, and he can do whatever he wants. What a cracking signing! And I'm not sitting here saying it's too early. It's been proven now over the last few games. You watch the boy, and again I watched him today. Everything that he does is positive. He's constantly looking to get on the ball. He protects the defence so well. There's just nothing negative I can say about him.
Listen, I'll go as far as saying I was not concerned, but I thought, right, look, see if you're buying a player for another Scottish club, they better be the best player at that club. And I wasn't convinced Connor Barron was the best player at Aberdeen. However, he's come in. He seems to have taken on the mantle. He's put the jersey on, feels the weight of it, and he's stood up and risen to that, which I quite like. As you say, takes the ball for the centre half, tries to get things going. There's been a lot of comparisons with Ryan Jack, which I think is a little bit unfair because we're getting Connor Barron at a very young age. He's 21, he's 22 in a couple of weeks, isn't he? There's more. Well, listen, we'll reserve judgment.
No, we won't.
We'll go early on that.
This is us winning the league last season at Kilmarnock, right? He's better than Ryan Jack.
I just think I think that the testament is that I heard Ryan Jack speak on another show yesterday, and he was saying, look, the boys come in a free effectively, not paid in for him just yet, but and he's the only one that started last week's game. He's in again today. He was in Tuesday. He's clearly a first team player. He's somebody that's going to play week on week. I know the manager made a ridiculous comment about John Lundstrom. Maybe that was lost in translation. We've got a good player here. It's just about how we balance up that midfield. Now, I know you've got a comment about Diamandi that I'm sure we'll come on to. These guys have got to build up relationships on the pitch. Now, relationships on the pitch are massive, really, really important. And getting that other body in there. Now, I'm not sure if we want to play Sterling at the 6 and have Barron and Diamandi's 2 8s in front, or how we balance that, because it's all well and good. We beat Motherwell today and we navigate the Champions League. Excellent. But come 1st of September, when we go to Celtic Park, these games have been won and lost in that midfield. So it's important that we find some sort of recipe that works for us coming out of that game. And Connor Barron and Mo Diamande are certainly going to be two that's in there. It's whoever joins them to make the magic happen.
Lennon Miller, but
Oh, how much for Lennon Miller? You saw him today, off the top of your head. How much for Lennon Miller?
I would pay 4 million, 5 million.
I think 4 million is what it takes, because David Turnbull went for what, 3.5, 3.75.
He's much better than David Turnbull.
And I think they're going to want to break their record for a transfer going out. So I think 4 million would get him. And I think, as you say, another one, 4 million is not a lot of money to pay for this boy, because the sky's the limit for Lennon Miller.
If we have Barron, Miller, Diamande in the middle of that park, I'm happy. Lennon Miller didn't do much today, but you can see when he's on the ball the quality that the boy's got. Absolute quality. And I think you bring him into that Rangers team, you put him and Barron as the two in the middle of that park, you've got yourself and he can even push on and play a 10. But listen, we're not here to talk about Lennon Miller, but absolutely bring Lennon Miller in. Please, Rangers. Iain, Barron, comfortably. I know Cerny scored a fantastic goal and Desser's got on the score sheet, but for me, Barron, comfortably man of the match.
Easily man of the match, best player in the park. There was one in particular moment that really impressed me. The ball's running out. He's a little bit behind the play in sense, and he's legging it over to the side of the pitch, gets the tackle, keeps the ball in, and then starts another attack. From that moment on, he was my man of the match, and I think that was only like 15 minutes in or something. It was like, no one's going to do any better than that today. He is man of the match. He'll boss this game, and I wasn't proven wrong at all. I've been really impressed with him coming in. I don't say I was worried about it when we signed him. It was, I think Barron, when he came in, to me, was going to be, he's either going to be really good or he's going to start well and then fade away. But I'm looking at him now, completely changed my mind. I think he's the mainstay. It's the Barron's in the midfield. It's who we're going to play around him.
Lennon Miller.
If he comes in, Lennon Miller, let's not forget he's not 18 to the end of the month as well. So that boy has got a career ahead of him, I tell you. And like you say, £4 million.
I didn't realise he was out of contract at the end of the season. But if there's any other clubs in from, I just want Rangers to go in there and get him. I don't care. Just go and buy him.
Yeah. But we've gone back to talking about Lennon Miller again. And
4 million. I know last season, end his contract or whatever. 4 million, then that boy will be worth double, treble that easily.
Yeah. Easily make your money back on him, I think, because he's only going to get better and better. I mean, he was doing it last season, and there's nothing going to stop him doing it this season for Motherwell either. But yeah, Barron, man of the match, and Kevin Thompson, as someone has already noticed, said he knows a midfielder. He brought him in at Kilty, and Kilty went on to win the league that year, I think, as well. When he said during the commentary, because obviously you were at the game, you wouldn't have heard it, and said he just knew that the lad was going to be a player, and he's glad that he's now commentating on him as opposed to commentating about him for another team. So. Yeah, over the moon he's with us.
Can I just say, Miller's contract doesn't end until 2026, not 25. So you get 2 years.
4 million, 5 million. Go get him. Just go and get him.
I think
that's all I'm saying.
I agree with you.
And the boy David Watson at Kilmarnock's an excellent midfielder as well, but he's not in Lennon Miller's league. In my opinion,
there's a comment that says he's a Celtic fan. I don't care if he's a Celtic fan.
I don't care.
If he can play football and he can play football well, bring him in.
Yeah, Scott Brown's a Rangers fan. Neil McCann was a Celtic fan. I don't care.
Kenny Dalglish was a Rangers fan.
It's irrelevant, guys. Well, it's not 1981. Come on, football's moved on.
My brother was a Rangers supporter, and now he's a Dundee United supporter. It happens. That absolutely happens. There's nothing you can do about it. If Lennon Miller came into Rangers, believe me, Callum McGregor, Celtic captain, Rangers fan. So it doesn't matter what team you support. It really doesn't matter. Robert, without getting into it too much, just because we could pull apart this and that and this and that. Is the second half performance worrying at all going forward? And I want to caveat that by saying, look, the managers tell us we're not going to be at top form. Right? I get that. We're not going to be free-flowing, playing the beautiful football that he wants to play, blah, blah, blah. But just that second half performance, in terms of where we are right now, the games we've got coming up, etc., the Old Firm game on the horizon, is that second half performance something that we really need to stamp out of this team as quickly as possible?
I'm going to go short answer no, and I'll say that by, we're very early into the season. See, if it was mid-March and you were asking him that question, I'd say, 100%, we need to get on that and get it sorted. But you look at, Celtic last season, didn't start very well, still managed to get over the line. So it's just about how you manage it. And Phil Connolly last season was going on about the marathon, not the sprint. And I know the start of the season in Scotland is very different to another league, because for the big two, important games happen really, really quickly. So the pressure's on for the off. So, mentality-wise, it can take its toll. But there's positive signs there. Yes, towards the end of the game, Motherwell had a couple of chances. We speak about the one that Butland saves, really good save. But to quote Roy Keane, that's his job. He makes them saves. John Souttar's probably culpable in that instance as well. There's one for Andy Halliday, as Ian touched on before we come on, that Dill, clips over the bar. There were a couple of chances for Motherwell late on. However, I must say as well, see if we're ever short of a goalkeeper, Finn Fogel's wife sounds like a keeper. Let's get her in.
He just had to do it, didn't he?
He did. He had to do it.
I mean, Robert's threatened to go full Chris Sutton if I kept up doing what was on the Rabble chat earlier on the day. So I'm kind of tempted to do it just to make him go full Chris Sutton on us. I'm not overly worried about it. I mean, the sub. I touched on it a little bit when we talked about Cerny and whatnot earlier on, and when he went off, the subs seemed to drag the ass out of the game. The quality dropped when the subs were made, which is understandable because Cerny's a quality. Oh, Robert, you've got to keep it together so I don't go reading the comments. But yeah, the quality dropped when he went off. The changeovers happened, and the game suited Motherwell to that point. Whereas if they can make it scrappy, they might be able to nick one, and not for a quality save from Butland, who had very little to do and was there when needed. I know he's coming for a little bit of criticism pre-season for some of the goals that have gone in, but when we needed him, he was there and managed to flip it over. And I'm going to get him kicked off the channel. Ian Thompson's no longer allowed to do pods, but I've lost it. It's gone. Forget it.
Right, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to jump straight to a comment for James Graham. So, would you play for Celtic, Martin? Have a day off? First of all, as I sit here as a 35-year-old overweight man, saying when I was playing football, would I have played for Celtic? No. Right? Of course not. If I'm a 17, 18-year-old boy who's got a bright future in the game and clubs are after him, and Celtic come in for me, and I'm a die-hard Rangers supporter, and Celtic come in and say, you're going to start games, we're going to pay you 20 grand a week, and Rangers aren't interested. Why would you not? Like, seriously, why would you not? It's easy for us to sit here as supporters who have got no chance of playing football professionally and turn around and say, oh no, I'd never play for them. But am I just being stupid, Robert? I mean, I don't get that.
Listen, I'll flip that back to James Graham. James Graham, would you be happy with Lennon Miller? I don't know this, but somebody in the comments said he's a Celtic supporter. Would you be happy with him in your midfield? Of course you would be. Once he puts the Rangers jersey on, he's going to be a Rangers supporter as long as we're successful. You look at Jamie Carragher, went to watch Everton games, always puff when he was growing up, played for Liverpool. I don't think he's got in every game now. So it's a daft conversation. It's not even a debate, because the only question here is, does he add quality to your midfield? Yes. Can you sell him on for more money should things go well? Yes. Go and get the boy. Nothing to do with who he supports or what calendar he had in his wall when he was 5-year-old. Nothing to do with that. He's a football player now. It's a profession. It's a job. See, if I work for Huawei and Apple come in for me, but I've had a Huawei phone all my life, I'm still going to go to Apple for the money and the opportunity. Do you know what I mean? So maybe a really crap analogy, I know, but we're late on in the podcast. So
I mean, where did Huawei come from?
I was trying to get a really crap phone. Sorry, Huawei, but if you want to sponsor the podcast, email Martin at rangersrabble@gmail.com. We'll get you up there. But no, as I say, Lennon Miller's a no-brainer. He's one of the best young talents in the country, and I don't think we do enough of it in terms of getting players for their clubs in. I think we've missed the boat on a few, and I'm hoping that Klopp and Clermont are actually looking within their own structure. I know they'll have knowledge of other players, other leagues. We've seen guys come in, Cerny's come in for Holland. I think Klopp had a link there. But you've got to try and look on your own doorstep, and if there's a young guy there that's ticking all the boxes and really exciting, and Martin, it's hard to get you excited. I've spoke to your wife, so to get you excited, he's done a good thing today. So I
I mean,
think
you get our sister excited, so it's all on.
right, enough, plenty. I think Lennon Miller coming in would be a no-brainer. And if you get the Champions League money, and I don't just mean the big pot, we get through this round on Tuesday, it's 5 million quid. You go and you spend that, and you don't. There was a talk last night. Some of the guys reckoned I think it might have been Wolf said if we get the 5 million for getting through for Kiev, we'd let Cantwell and Hadji just walk away. I can't see that. I just think, we've saw today, you've mentioned Tom Lawrence, and I would never slate the guy. I think he's done everything asked of him. I know he's done a couple of injuries, but you've got two guys there who you've almost let player power sort of control the situation. Whereas I don't think a stronger manager, I'm not going to name names, would have let those two guys go into the reserve team and force their way out. I think they said, no, you're here, you're getting the money, you're going to play. You look at the wee boy today, I don't know if anyone watched the kick-off of the EFL, Willie Noto at Leeds. He's been linked with a numerous amount of clubs. He saw his pal, Crescencio Somerville, move to West Ham, loads of links, but he's got on the part today and done the business. Hadji and Cantwell should be taking the leaf at that point and trying to go out and sell themselves. How are you going to sell yourself playing against, lesser opposition?
Yeah, and people are saying Seema before Miller. No, Miller first.
I think the Seema votes away, Martin. The Seema votes away. That's no happening.
Aye, but I'm just saying for argument's sake, for me, the number one signing for Rangers right now should be Lennon Miller.
If you're rubbing an iron about 4 million, how are you going to afford 7 and 8 for Seema?
Well, talking about midfielders, and I'll finish up on this. Iain, do we think that Diomande disappeared in spells of the game again? I think the reason that this is kind of mentioned and brought up and seen is I think that we all know, because we are just supporters, but I think that we're all aware. We've seen how good he can be. I think we all realise the potential that he has. But I do think Iain has a point. Iain, there has been times in the early part of the season where one or two things he's done well. He's good with the ball, his feet in tight spaces, etc. But then he does kind of just go missing.
He does, but is that again that because our league is as fast as it is that he's still? I mean, he should be up to speed with it by now. But does it taking him time to get up to the running of how actual physical our league is, and that's the cause of him dipping out of games because he might be knackered. I've seen enough of him.
He's been here for over 6 months, so no.
He has, but some people take longer to adapt. We know this. There's been players that have come into a club before, even in the 90s, back in the good days that we're talking about. When the one example was that Bolly and Laudrup signed at the same time, and the big signing was Bolly, and everyone was like, "This guy's going to be amazing." I don't think Laudrup's going to make it. He's not going to be strong enough. And how did that work out? But it might just be the physicality of what we're still trying to get used to. He's still a young lad as well. Let's not forget that. I think I've seen him. I've seen enough quality in him to know that there's something there from him. There was a bit today. I'm not sure if it was Lennon Miller he was doing it to, but he lobbed the ball over the top of the guy 3 times in a row. And if he just got away from him, it would have been superb. So there's definite quality there. He will. I think he just needs a little bit more time to get his probably his strength up, if anything, to get him over the next part of that. And I think he'll be fine.
Martin, we've got to stop doing this, going in on players. We've got to stop doing it because the turnover in this squad over the last couple of years has been ridiculous. Mm-hmm. This young guys came from Nordsjælland. If you actually have a look at the players that they've moved on and where they've gone in the trajectory of these players, he's got a trajectory ahead of him that's probably off the chart. I think we need to just trust the process. I think Lewis made a great point last night. You try and get progression at these boys, year upon year. He said 6 months you see to settle in. Let's see what he does. Let's not judge him after 3 or 4 games. He's playing my young boy, 21-year-old today as well. Let's try and see what we can do. Get somebody in alongside him, give him 15, 20 games together, and then we can say, right, Diamonde's hiding, Diamonde's not doing this. But I think...
What do you think his best position is, Robert?
I don't know. That's what I was going to say to you. I don't know what his best position is. Is he an 8? He's definitely not a 6. I think he's probably an 8, to be honest. I think he's got the athleticism to carry the ball, good passer of the ball. He probably needs somebody in front of him that's maybe not Tom Lawrence. I know I said I wasn't going to end Tom Lawrence, but that's maybe not Tom Lawrence. Whether that would be a Cantwell. is yet to be seen. But I do think, as I said to you before, is it Sterling that comes in and holds in front of the back four and lets Barron and Diamondi go and play? You said yourself earlier on when Diamondi went forward, you think the game maybe went away from us a little bit. So, as I said right at the start of the podcast, Clement doesn't know his best 11 yet. We don't know our best 11 yet, so it's all about feeding that out and maybe waiting until, as I say, trust the manager. He's told us October, November. Hopefully at that point, firing on all cylinders. We're on a good run of form, winning games, and we're in all of these players and thinking, bloody hell, we've got a team here.
Get Lennon Miller in, change it to a 4-3-3. Barron is a defensive mid. Diamandi and Miller in beside each other. Cerny on the left. We'll discuss the right another time with either Dessers or Danilo up front. That's a league winning team to me once it beds in, personally. But yeah, look, we'll leave it there. There's so much more we could probably discuss. There's probably stuff that I've missed out that happened in the game. It's actually, believe it or not, it's more difficult going to the game and then coming back and doing a podcast about it rather than just sitting watching it on the telly. It's actually more difficult. I was going to be one of the guys that took a notepad, but I didn't want to.
No. I said
Anyway.
off the cuff. The podcast's been it's been 72 minutes of fun, and I've really enjoyed it. So
There's been about 15 minutes where we could just cut it out, if I'm being honest.
Finn Vogel, that's your fault for the edit.
Yeah, the disgusting man. That's all I'm going to say. Disgusting man. Who we all love, really. Listen, folks, thank you so much for tuning in. And I'm away to get my casserole. You better believe it. Thank you so much for watching. Like I keep saying, the views keep going up and up and up, and it's phenomenal. So thank you so much. Like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. Links for all that are in the description. You can become a member if you want as well. There's a join button below, or a link for the memberships is in the description as well. And head over and check our websites, read our blogs, have a wee look at our shop. Do that if you so do wish. Robert, Iain, thank you very much for joining me. Greatly appreciate it. And yeah, so thanks everybody. We're back Monday night, 7:30 for your Monday night Rabble. So we shall see you then.